Hey guys, so we are actually going to talk about the parts of a plant today. And here's my little flower that I've drawn with its root system and everything, and then I've got a couple of plants to show you um, after we talk about the basic vocabulary. So, and then I'm going to try to start an experiment, which is a pretty simple experiment. You can do it with me at home if you want to. But all you need is 2 jars full of water. These are just jelly jars that I used a sponge to scrape the labels off of, and or I soaked them and then I washed the labels off of with. So you just need 2 jars and then 2 very similar leaves. So these come off of the same plant, and it's just a little house plant. It's actually this plant. So, anyways, parts of a plant. We're going to start down here at the bottom because that's kind of where the process starts. So we've got rainwater that comes down and it absorbs into the soil, and this is my soil level right here, and it mixes with the rainwater mixes with the soil and creates nutrients for the plant to survive. And so we start with our roots. Roots absorb water and nutrients from the soil, and they hold the plant in the ground. So if we didn't have roots, the plant wouldn't survive, because these roots are kind of like straws, and they suck up everything that the plant needs to survive. Well, not everything, and also they hold the plant upright. So if we didn't have roots, all of your flower beds would look pretty ugly because all the flowers would be laying on their sides. So I want you to remember that they hold the plant in the ground as well as absorb nutrients. Then we've got, as the nutrients travels up the roots, it gets into the stem, and the stem carries water and nutrients throughout the plant, and it supports the leaves and flowers. A lot of students get confused here because you might see a question later about which part of the plant holds the plant in the ground, and a lot of students I've seen in the past get confused here because this says supports the leaves and flowers. Well, the stem doesn't support the entire plant. It just supports the leaves and the flowers. So just remember that the roots hold the plant in the ground, and they hold it upright. So anyways, nutrients comes up through the stem, and then it's passed along to the leaves and the flowers. So the leaf is actually the place where the plant makes its own food. So it takes what it's gotten through the roots and it converts it through sunlight, and we'll talk about that later. That's called photosynthesis. And then we've got the flower, which produces the seed. So without the seed of a flower, you wouldn't have any other flowers. The seed is in the center, and we'll talk about this all later too. But the seed is picked up by the wind, or it might be picked up by birds, and then it is dropped all over the place, and that's how you get more flowers. So that's the parts of a plant. And then I've got these 2 plants that we'll look at real quick. So this is just a regular house plant. This is, I think, some kind of ivy. And you can see the soil, and below the soil is the root system. This plant seems like it hasn't been watered in a little while, so I'll get that some water later. But, and that's just a little ivy plant. And you can see, if you look really closely at the leaves, that they've got a whole lot of veins too. So we talked about, here, I'll put that really, really close, and you can see all those little veins in the leaves. And we talked about how everything's kind of like a straw in a plant. You've got the roots that suck up the water. The stem is sort of like a straw carrying it out. You've even got the stem to the leaf. And also inside of each leaf, you've got all these other little tiny straws. And so you can kind of see that in my drawing a little bit. And there is oxygen inside of those straws, and we're going to talk about how they convert that oxygen through photosynthesis a little bit later in another video. But I want to get started on an experiment. Let me show you these roots really quick though. Some plants, house plants, some things that are really strong don't necessarily need soil to survive. This plant's not going to get a lot bigger, but this was just like a cutting. So I kind of cut right below the leaf right there and right above the roots, and I dropped this in water, and it started to grow even without soil. So there's not a whole lot of plants that you can do that with, but this is one of them. And you can see that whole root system. And all we did was put a little tiny piece of a cutting in there, and it's created this whole root system inside. This is just full of water, no soil at all. And if you look at the bottom, it's really congested. It's just got a whole lot of roots in there. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. It's not a very sunny day today, so I was gonna try to do this ahead of time, but it's sort of cloudy outside, so I don't think it's gonna work, but I think tomorrow is supposed to be sunny. So I'm gonna put a leaf inside the jar, and I'm gonna put this one in a windowsill or outside in the sun, and I'm just gonna let it sit for a day. And then I'm gonna put the other leaf inside the jar, and I'm gonna put this one in a dark place, like in a closet or something like that. And then we're gonna look at it in the next video, and we're just gonna see what's changed about the leaf. So we might need a magnifying glass for this. I don't know. I'm not sure if I have one here at the house, but we will see in the next video. So tune in for that. And